What does it really take to build a multinational empire from Mexico that exerts power in America? For some, it's inherited land. For others, a fortunate resource discovery or political favor. But for one dynasty, it was vision, patience, audacity, and a talent for seeing what others ignore. They built telecom monopolies, snapped up US real estate, bought stakes in media, and quietly wove themselves into the daily fabric of American life, often without you noticing. Today, their wealth is measured in tens of billions. Their influence spans 2 continents. Their name carries clout in boardrooms from Mexico City to Manhattan, from Mexican streets to Fifth Avenue mansions, from telecom concessions to phone plans in your pocket. This is the story of Carlos Slim and his family, the Mexican dynasty whose reach stretches deep into the US economy. Stick around to the end, because the biggest surprise isn't how much they have, it's how much subtle control they wield. Origins and ascent. Carlos Slim Helú was born in 1940 in Mexico City, the son of Lebanese immigrant parents who instilled in him early lessons in business, perseverance, and finance. He was naturally gifted in math and economics, but his drive took over early. By his 20s, he was already investing in small companies, reading balance sheets, buying stock when others feared the markets. His defining move came with the privatization of Mexico's state telecom during the 1990s. Slim purchased Telmex, the national telephone company, at a pivotal moment. He then aggressively expanded into mobile telephony via América Móvil, turning it into an empire that dominated Latin America. This telecom backbone became the foundation of the Slim Empire, a cash generator, barrier to entry, and platform for expansion. Slim's strategy was never about flashy acquisitions. Instead, he bought undervalued assets, controlled costs, added vertical integration, infrastructure, towers, services, and diversified over time into banking, retail, mining, and real estate. Empire structure and US expansion. The Slim family doesn't just dominate Mexico. They have fingerprints across the US through real estate, telecom, and strategic investments. Some key US holdings: Fifth Avenue Mansion, Siemens House. Slim bought a prime Manhattan mansion, around 20,000 square feet, for approximately $44 million. That purchase is more than real estate. It's a statement of presence and legitimacy in US elite circles. TracFone USA, one of his most important US moves. Slim acquired TracFone, the prepaid wireless giant. That gave him direct access to the US telecom consumer market. NY real estate and office properties. Through his firms, Slim holds prime commercial real estate in New York City and other US markets. Media and publishing stakes. At one point, Slim was a major non-voting shareholder in the New York Times Company, providing a strategic foothold in US media. International moves. He also made a bold investment in British Telecom, BT, in 2024, acquiring an approximately 3% stake for approximately $400 million. That signals ambition beyond Latin markets back into global infrastructure. His US involvements are measured, not headline making, but structurally potent. Scale of wealth and influence. As of 2025, Carlos Slim remains Latin America's richest man and one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet, often rotating in and out of the global top 10 with names like Bezos, Musk, and Arnault. Bloomberg values his fortune at roughly $99 billion, but that number fluctuates constantly. When the peso strengthens or telecom stocks rise, Slim's paper wealth can surge by billions overnight and fall just as quickly. But no matter the headlines, his foundation never wavers. América Móvil and Telmex continue to generate staggering, predictable cash flow, the kind of steady earnings that anchor entire economies. What makes Slim truly remarkable, though, is how diversified his empire has become. Through Grupo Carso and Inbursa, his influence spans telecom, banking, mining, construction, energy, and real estate. It's a web of interlocking companies designed to feed one another. Telecom profits fund infrastructure. Infrastructure enables mining and logistics, and those returns buy more long-term assets. It's less a portfolio and more a self-sustaining ecosystem of wealth. And unlike many billionaires who outsource management, Slim keeps tight family control. His 6 children oversee major divisions of his empire, ensuring power remains concentrated and succession smooth. In interviews, he often downplays fortune and speaks instead of endurance, building institutions that will outlive him. A 2025 Bloomberg report revealed that Slim is already transferring operational roles to his heirs and investing heavily in digital finance, renewable energy, and AI infrastructure, quietly positioning his empire for the next economic era. For Carlos Slim, wealth isn't just accumulation, it's architecture, a system designed to keep working long after he's gone. Turning points and risks. Slim's story is far from smooth. Key turning points. Telmex privatization. This risky purchase set the stage. If regulation had gone the other way, he might have been crushed. US projects, buying TracFone, acquiring Manhattan real estate, investing in the Times and BT. These moves exposed him to US regulation, antitrust pressure, currency risk, and shifting consumer expectations. Regulatory scrutiny at home. In Mexico, Slim is often accused of monopolistic control, and political wins sometimes turn against dominant domestic capital groups. Global telecom competition. As wireless evolves 5G/6G, telecom margins compress. Slim must keep innovating or face disruption. Succession and legacy. The challenge of passing a vast empire intact across generations is enormous. Fragmentation, mismanagement, or investor pressure could also be threats. Hidden depths and symbolism. There are several symbolic dimensions to the Slim story. Understated lifestyle. Despite his billions, Slim avoids overt ostentation. He doesn't publicly flaunt private jets, yachts, or celebrity entourages. There's a quiet discipline in his persona. Philanthropy and cultural legacy. The Fundación Carlos Slim invests in education, health, museums, e.g. Museo Sumaya, and social welfare. His giving fills gaps in public institutions and cements social legitimacy. Real estate as symbol. Owning a mansion on Fifth Avenue is shorthand for acceptance, influence, and permanence among US elites. Telecom as infrastructure. In many ways, Slim treated wireless and data networks like utilities, as essential civic infrastructure rather than luxury products. Now, Slim isn't just a Mexican businessman with US real estate. He's a transnational titan whose interests in telecom, media, and infrastructure make him a silent force in American business. Millions of US consumers have, at some point, used services or infrastructure tied to his holdings. His real estate investments anchor him in US markets. His media shade and telecom moves create cross-border bridges few foresaw. Carlos Slim's legacy is not only defined by how much he owns, but by how deeply embedded his empire is in the economic fabric of two nations. So yes, Carlos Slim and his family are the richest Mexican dynasty in America, not just by dollars, but by influence, presence, and subtle power. Here's what to ponder. If you could wake up tomorrow with control, not just wealth, would you take quiet influence or flashy liquidity? In a future dominated by data, AI, and infrastructure, will the richest families be those who own code pipelines or land pipelines? Do you think Slim's brand, a mix of discipline, patience, and institutional building, will outlast flashier tech founders in memory and legacy? If this deep dive reshaped how you see global empires crossing borders, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What surprised you most? His US real estate, the TracFone move, or his hidden influence? Which part of his empire would you want control over? Thanks for watching. Whether you build your empire or just study it, do so wisely. I'll see you next time.